I'm going to be Tits McGee today.
Is that what you're going to be?
Yep.
No, yeah. Let's not run any of that. I want to keep all this a surprise for the listener. So let's keep all of our questions and stuff to on air. And okay, we're rolling. Here we go. Let's do the show. And okay, we're rolling. Here we go. Let's do the show. That was very weird. Let's see what's going on there with that one.
Welcome to Mars. Welcome to life among the stars. Welcome to hotels and restaurants and bars, where you'll never be homesick anymore.
All right, that's the Billy Nayers show performing Mars from the show Stingray Sam, which, guys, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch Stingray Sam. So, you seen it? Ah, it's great. It's fantastic. Billy Nayers show right there. On the show today, we've got a couple of people. We've got the Common Ground Games, guys. They're going to be so you're not on camera yet. Relax. Just relax. They're over there. They're waving off camera. They're taking their shirts off and whipping them over their heads in a frenzy. Now they're wrestling a camel. This is unbelievable. This is just crazy. I wish I could cut over to the camera and show you, but right now this is on me, so let's make it about me. We have Common Ground Games in studio today, and we also have Daniel Laabs. He's going to be sitting in, and oddly enough today, they know each other, the two groups. We didn't know this when we brought them in, so we're going to do a hodgepodge, potpourri mix here of a menagerie, an eclectic menagerie of guests and questions today. Let's go around the room here, and I'm going to do this, obviously, the guy off camera now, who you just saw, the beautiful gentleman. That was Del Pullen. That's me, the host of the show. Matthew Paisana. So Matthew sounds like lasagna, but we call him the pizza paisana. Now let's the gentleman in the orange shirt. Let's go.
Dr. Hansen with Common Ground.
Oh, well, there we go. Let's get that on. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No problem. Dr. Hansen with Common Ground Games.
Dr. Hansen.
How come I didn't get my mic for when I introduced myself?
Because I didn't want you to introduce yourself. Okay.
Sorry, I'm Jameson Sachs. I'm the owner of Common Ground Games.
Very nice. So Dr. and Jameson, and then we got Daniel.
I'm Daniel Laabs.
Now,
yeah.
I'm known for getting names wrong all the time. JB, Arthur, you're going to catch this real fast. So feel free to correct me whenever I get it wrong.
I've been called worse.
I've been called a lot worse. Okay, so today on the show, we're going to interview them. Matt wants to talk a little bit about some of the biggest films this year, and we're going to find out if anybody saw them and what they thought about them. We're not going to do a pilot pass today. We have too much to get done. And I guess we can say Emmeline will be joining us next week if we do a show.
Yes,
so,
she will
there you
be.
go. Gentlemen, let's start off.
Hang on.
What?
What do we expect to happen on the show today?
Oh, the bet.
Yes, we have a bet
All right,
going.
this
is a surprise for the guests. We're going to go ahead and reveal this now.
What we usually do is decide whether something will or will not happen on the show. Like last time there was an over-under on the word potato.
Yes.
Today I'm gonna say we're going to be visited by a real-life camel in the studio.
Oh, wow, that's big time.
Yes or no on that, Matt?
Oh, absolutely, it's going to happen.
So Matt's betting
yes.
there will be a live camel in studio today.
No.
Jameson?
I'm going to go with no and add, I kind of hope not.
I'll be contrarian, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to say not an animal, but a person with the name of camel counts, and so yes.
All right.
So
whoa, hold up.
No.
You
should ask first.
You should have asked questions there. Gentlemen, remember to stay.
I was not letting on that.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, remember to stay up on your mics. If you want to sound deep and tough and Morgan Freeman, you want to get in on that mic. If you want to sound a little bit like Joe Latrulio, you can be back here, and nobody knows who that is.
That's a nice reference.
I
like
know.
That. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I don't know why that stuck out, but he's in Wanderlust too. You can see his dick in Wanderlust.
No, there you go.
So it's perfect.
Is it his dick? Is it his dick?
Yeah. Oh no, that's him. He even talked about Comedy Bang Bang. So. Well, all that and more on this episode of Dateline with Ted Ritter with your host, Del Pullen.
There you go.
I thought this was To Catch a Predator.
We've already caught him.
Busted! Y'all are all busted. So perfect.
That would explain all the beards.
Why don't you have a seat right over here? Yeah. Why don't you have a seat right over here and make out with this young boy while we film it?
Can I have some lemonade?
Yes, you can have
all
whatever
I
you
want.
like from the fridge. Go ahead, help yourself.
All right.
All right, so why don't we start with, this says, it's Common Ground Games. You're located off Inwood, right next to Zeus Comics, and of course we broadcast from there. They've been on the show before. So let's start very basic. What are games?
What are games?
What are games?
For us, games refers to board games.
Because here's the deal: is I don't play when I'm in a relationship. I don't play games. That's
Not
it.
true at all. That's such
But
a
when
lie.
when I'm in a game store, I'll play some games.
Are you in a
know what I'm
relationship
saying?
right now?
I am in a relationship right now, and Delbert don't play games. It's that simple. So it was really hard when I was in your store a couple of times. You'd be like, "Here, try this out." I'd be like, "This is so contrarian." I want to just now that
Yeah, that's a
Daniel
good
got it out there, I
word.
wanna-
That's the word of the day. I expect a chair to start screaming right now.
So tell us about when people say games. Generally people think of horrible relationships, but your store is something different.
Correct.
It's
A horrible relationship story. Wow.
they have those too. It's called Sarah's Secrets.
No.
Now, so tell us a little bit about
There
Common
goes that
Ground Games.
sponsor.
So we are purveyors of board games, card games, collectible card games, that sort of thing. It's
And role-playing games.
and role-playing games.
Oh, I like the role playing. Now,
Yeah.
see that I'll do in
Yes.
relationships.
We
That's
just
fine.
expanded the store, so we don't know what's going to come from that front anymore. But I have
Yeah, I
high
saw that
hopes.
because y'all are doubling, maybe
Almost
more?
tripling.
Well, not triple. It more than double.
Come on now.
I need an
Don't-
exact number.
We need a square footage before we can move
2.75
on.
times?
He could tell you.
It went from 1,500 square feet to 4,900 square feet.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an improvement.
What? I mean, obviously you're doing well if you're up inside the store. Was it just you got slammed with more business than you thought, or?
We definitely filled a void that apparently was necessary in Dallas. There's nothing within
our hearts.
Yes, there was nothing within the area that really picked up on the board games. Zeus has been open for 15 years. Normally, comic book and game stores go together.
Yeah.
It's hard to open up another store near Zeus because he does have the audience already, and he's an award-winning store and all this sort of stuff. But he's never really been into games. People have asked him for years to do it. And
It's true. His partner will tell it. He's not into games. He's
Yeah.
very straightforward. If he's angry at me and I ask him, Richard, what's bothering you? He tells him.
Yeah.
You got to respect that.
But my joke has always been that unless it has a controller, Richard doesn't really know much about games. So he's like, he's a video game guy. Board game stuff like that, he didn't know.
And board games are kind of making, I don't know about a resurgence, but they've become a
are.
lot more popular in the last 5 years.
I think it's in response to the isolation of video gaming that has happened. You can play with other people across the world, but they're still it's an isolating experience.
You used to be, you'd all get together and play on your couch, and you'd have like the split screen thing going on.
I literally just called a bunch of people yesterday and was like, hey, the new Smash Brothers is out.
Right.
When are we all getting together to drink alcohol and kick each other's asses?
Most of the time anymore, if you play video games, I'm sitting on my couch, and if I'm playing with one of my friends, he's at home sitting on his couch. And there's a backlash towards that. People want to be social. They want to be with their friends. And there's, especially as you get older and you start to realize, hey, we can sit around and drink and do these things, and it doesn't require dexterity.
Realize, that wasn't my plan. And we can incorporate board games into it.
It's ironic because he doesn't drink, so
really?
why he's even bringing that up?
It helps
How do
me
you stay
win.
hydrated?
Yeah. That's where I get my water from too. The ice in my whiskey. and
Oh,
ginger
okay,
ale.
that makes sense. Yeah. So, what prompts you to get into gaming? Obviously, you seem to have a passion for it. I doubt that you hate it, and then you.
Yeah, no. I've run comic book stores in the past. And game stores, and I've even worked at Zeus over the years and things like that. And when we moved back from New York, I finally got to the point where I was like, I don't really want to do this corporate thing anymore, and I needed to find
That can
something.
get pretty old pretty fast.
Yeah, and I needed to find something that I actually wanted to get up in the morning and be around every day, and it just...
It wasn't this guy, was it?
I-
No. Sorry, BLT. I didn't mean to give you a hard time there. But okay, so you came back. How do you get funding for something like that? I mean, I know you can. You want to go start your own, like, let's say, website design company. Okay, you go get a DBA and just start trying.
Well,
to
that was one of the
help
biggest
people.
things that we hit the hurdles wise, because a lot of places
You
won't
hit
give-
turtles?
Yes. Yeah, well, Mario Kart is big in our household.
Oh,
so,
okay, that's
you
true,
know,
yeah.
Beware the blue shell.
All the turtles you have to jump to succeed in life.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's the funding is definitely the hardest part unless you have a lot of savings. The bank system is set up so that they tell you they want to help you, but they won't help any small business that hasn't been in business for 2 years.
yeah.
It's a-
You
it's
have
a
to-
catch-22.
You have
Yeah.
to prove you don't need the money to get the loan.
Right. And
So that's why you robbed them. That's okay. Now I understand. Now it's coming together.
we managed to do more on a smaller budget than I would have liked than I thought. Part of the reason why we started with a smaller store too is it's okay, let's do this and see if it does, if it is going to take off, rather than put a whole bunch of money into a big store and sit there and go, goody, I get to live on the street next week.
Now, is this your first location next to Zeus?
Yes.
When did y'all open?
May of 2013.
So we've been open for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And obviously you're doing well enough to expand, so it was a wise decision, it sounds like that. Or was it a poor decision? You should have started twice as big. Bada boom, Bob's your uncle, aunt, and you're done.
No, I think that was what was that worked well for us, was the intimacy and the community that we started with. I feel like if you bite off more than you can chew, you'll be overwhelmed with a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So
this show used to be 12 hours long. And I understand what you're saying about biting off more than you can chew. We scaled it back a little bit too much. We got down to 90 seconds. We thought, no, we're going to need by the time we introduced everybody, there wasn't enough time. And then we got it to the hour that seems to work. That gives us about 12 good quality minutes of good content.
Hour?
Yeah, and then with the rest of it we kind of fill in with
I thought we were only doing 10 minutes. Jesus Christ.
Sorry. So, how did you two meet? And Daniel, if you have any questions, jump in here.
We really were expecting Daniel to answer all of these questions.
Literally hop over all the turtles and hurdles we have in the room and get in on this.
We actually met through comic books. Actually.
Yeah, we met 9 years ago. Kind of random chance. I was flying to Vegas and was talking to the guy next to me, and that conversation led into him going, "Oh, my girlfriend has this gay friend who's into comics." And
so he was next to my coworker's boyfriend, and he pulled out a comic book. I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yep.
And he was reading it. And
now I'm just saying, I heard what you said, but I thought condom book would have been a little funnier to go with there if he had pulled that out. I've never seen one. Now I want to. So.
Just like a book of
either used or unused condoms, like you would collect pennies, in a book, or stamps.
The worst part is I'm sure there are guys who do that.
Or famous people like this condom was worn by Morgan Freeman. This condom was worn by Brad Pitt. So.
No, we don't have a collection of condoms. Not yet, at least. That's funny. But no, he read the comic book, and the guy next to him was kind of this hunky Italian guy, so we started chatting it up. So Jay was definitely interested in continuing that conversation. And when it came out that Jay was gay, he's like, "Oh, my that guy I told you I was into comics, he's gay too. I should get your info." So
because automatically only two qualifiers for Jay to match up with lifelong partners for you.
I actually asked the guy, I was like, is he attractive? And he goes, "My girlfriend thinks so." I was like, "Meh, you're cute. Your girlfriend obviously has good taste. Here's my information."
Yeah. When I met my girlfriend, I said, "First of all, do you have a vagina?" "Yes." "Okay. Do you like men?" "Yes." That was it. That's all we needed. It worked after that. So
straight men are much less picky, I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she's changed her mind on liking men now that she spent all this time with you.
Yeah, I think now she's just settled into a home life and doesn't want to give it up.
How long y'all been together?
Who cares? Let's see. This is about you. Yeah, I think it's like 4.5 years now.
Very nice.
He only says that because he has no clue.
I'm trying to think back. Yeah, it'd be about a little.
He's
over
like,
4
"You're
years.
getting me in trouble. Stop."
Carol, go home. You're not supposed to be watching the show anyway. I don't like kids watching the show, and so 12 years old is too young for my girlfriend to be watching. So she needs to turn it off and go back to bed in the middle of the afternoon. All right. So where do you plan on taking the store with twice as much space now? What are you going to fill it out with?
So the
comic books? You're going to go into against Richard?
Yes, I'm going to directly compete with the store next to me.
You should here's what you should do. Go get a picture of Richard, have a life-size cardboard cutout made, and put that in the window of your store just to confuse people. Put it behind the register. All right, so what are you planning on doing with the extra space?
So the extra space is our gaming area now. We used to have tables in the back of the store. We could fit comfortably 40 or so people playing games. Some of the different games have like tournaments, and then we just have days where people are playing board games and we demo board games. And a lot of times we would just be out of space, or we'd have to be putting tables in the back near the bathrooms, and it's just really uncomfortable.
Because I'll admit I was surprised the first time I went to. There's one up in Irving, Roll to Play that we like a lot, and Tiffany's a great woman. Hey,
she
Tiffany.
is. Yeah. She is. Hey.
And I was shocked how fast that place would fill up.
Yep.
I guess I thought it was a niche market.
She's finally getting a bigger store too, because her store was about a third the size of ours.
Our original store.
Our original store.
Okay.
I mean, it was, or maybe half. She needed more space a long time ago.
It was packed every time I walked in. I was like, wow, this is a much bigger market than I thought.
And when we were doing research to open the store, we saw that a lot, just a lot of cramped spaces. So that's one thing that we definitely tried to actively push against, is creating a space where people would feel comfortable to come and play and not feel claustrophobic.
Well, let me ask you this, is just from a marketing standpoint, do you find that board games are a little harder to sell than something like, exciting games. I mean, doesn't it seem like you're limiting yourself by calling it boring games? It just,
I don't know that most people make that
sexy games,
connection.
exciting games. That just seems like those would sell
different
a little
line
better.
of games that you're talking
Right,
about there.
not just boring games.
The hard part is that people who haven't got into what board games are now still associate board games as Monopoly and Trouble and Scrabble.
And now I was about to say, and what's funny is around my house, we've been playing board games. I'm a big Pente, and we do Sorry a lot.
Right.
But they're so more intricate.
Yes,
now.
yeah, much more.
I mean, those
that's
games that we're
fascinating.
talking about there, most of them were created over 60 years ago, and nowadays it's amazing if you are into like any kind of thing like Star Wars or dinosaurs
Game
or
of
something.
Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There is probably a game that fits in that genre.
Does Rampage fit into an intricate game?
We actually have a game called
No,
Rampage.
that's
Oh,
what
no,
we're
we
saying.
play
though.
it.
We
Yeah,
play
we
it.
play
That's
it.
one of my favorite games of all time. It's awesome.
It's not that's not intricate. It has a 2-page rule.
right. Yeah. That's but I don't
Dell
think
will
it's-
make it intricate. I don't think you've played a lot of games with him.
No, when you get drinking and you have to have people moving around a room, knocking stuff over, flicking stuff, sending that's a good. I get more exercise playing Rampage than I do when I go to the gym.
Do you go to the gym?
Nope.
Well, I do, but I sit on the bench and I watch TV on my phone.
Do you have
It's
like
fine.
candy bars like you're just torturing the people who are actually
I
working
pay
out?
$35 to watch TV sompace other than my couch. Is essentially what I'm doing.
Do they have cable?
CNN all the time.
No, it's just my phone. I mean, it's whatever's on either YouTube or Netflix. So, where's the future of gaming going? Tell us. Throw yourself into the future. Past the cyborgs, past the baby genocide war.
We're already starting.
12 years from now, where do you see
We're
it?
already starting to see a lot of companies experiment with integrating technology, not removing the board game and just making it a video game, but trying to do different things where you use your phone and or tablet to go with the game to take care of some of the.
Yeah, Munchkin. What is it, the game Munchkin? I think does
they've
that.
got a-
They have a little app to keep your life and
right,
stuff like
to
that.
help you with the game.
There's been a
werewolves.
there's a really popular game called Werewolf.
Warren Zevon's
Yeah, and
Werewolves, the board game.
Yeah, and there's a version of it called One Night, which is meant for smaller groups of people, and you sit around the phone, and it takes care of the narrating, so nobody is forced to not be able to play.
no.
Everybody,
That is kind of
Yeah.
The
cool.
best part is being the narrator.
Some people
Like-
that's the hardest part for some groups is they can't get anybody because nobody wants to
no one's
narrate.
creative enough.
They just
Yes.
Yeah.
and that app takes care of that.
Apparently, you can hire Daniel out. Go
Yeah,
travel to
I-
parties and be the narrator.
I have like a repertoire
Oh, there you go.
of scenarios in which werewolf should not occur, but it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a repertoire of plenty of sexy stories that I can tell. Somehow work them into the Dungeons and Dragons now. How does it with the role playing? I mean, how long do games usually go?
It just depends on the game. Something like Rampage takes 30 minutes to play. I mean, unfortunately, the game takes like 20 minutes to set up.
Yeah, that's.
But like, there's a.
But see, with my OCD, I honestly, that's like my favorite part is like meticulously setting each little piece
I wouldn't
up.
know anything
And then-
about that.
And then everybody else, and then everybody else gets to smash it. That's my favorite
There are
part.
some games that are 30 minutes to play, and you know the fun of it can be the fact that in an hour you play 2 or 3 times, with your group of friends. And then there are some games that are 3 or 4 hours, and there are games that are much longer than that. And people want to kill themselves by the end of it because they just spent 8 hours and they realize I didn't win or even come close.
And
to
that
it.
was something when we kind of started getting back into it, is I was always thinking of when you have a board game or role playing session, you're spending all night doing it.
It's
and then we
possible.
got a couple of games where it was like, this game can be played in 15, 20 minutes, and you'll do 3 or 4 of them or 10 of them. I mean, like we have this game, Monopoly Deal, that's a card version, not at all like Monopoly. I swear we play that 3 to 5 times a night, every night since we've got the cards. And it's just, I never would have guessed that. But you can play it in 10 minutes. You can, if you get enough people, you can go up to an hour for one round.
So there's an award for board games called the Spiel des Jahres. It's kind of like the Academy Award
Oh,
for
that's
board games.
exactly what I would have thought of if I'd have thought of the award for board games.
Yeah, it's a German award. They are very big on
Is
their
that the
board
one
games.
that a Ticket to Ride?
Ticket to Ride is one of the
those?
winners.
Okay, yeah.
Hanabi.
This
Which
year,
was one I love that game.
love
We
that
played it.
game.
It was fantastic.
this year's winner is a game called Camel Up.
Yeah, there it is. And
we
there
just-
they-
There's
wait.
a camel in studio. Oh, get the cameras on. Oh, it's gone. Well, who said no camel? There was no camel.
Yeah,
No.
there you
Oh,
go.
look who's so embarrassed right now.
But it
He
can
usually
be
only
played.
here on Wednesdays.
Oh, okay. Well, that's. See, I wasn't expecting him today. The game can be played in a half hour with 8 people. And it just moves that fast, and so you can play the game 3 or 4 times before you're like, okay, let's move on to something that takes an hour or two, where we're not just replaying the same thing.
What's your favorite board game? Classic? Or tell you what, more modern. What's your favorite?
Probably right now it's there's 2 different ones: Lords of Waterdeep.
Pick.
And
I don't remember giving him the option. Does anybody here remember me giving him the option of 2?
I take the options where I want to. Lords of Waterdeep and a new one called 5 Tribes.
And what are those like? The 5 Tribes, has that been on television? Haven't I? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah,
I'll edit that part out so I don't look foolish. Go ahead.
They are
That's the whole show.
Yeah, that really is.
It is.
They are what are
He's the
referred
last to know.
They're what are referred to as worker placement games,
Okay.
where you usually have a pool of more or less resources, in this case agents, and you're placing them in spots to get more resources, to get points. And that's Lords of Waterdeep is actually a D&D themed one. It's set in the biggest city in the D&D realm, and you're trying to influence the city so that you're the one controlling it at the end of the game. And 5 Tribes is a recent release that made by Days of Wonder. It's the same people who do Small World and
I love that TV show.
And Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride was
Yeah.
honestly, we got that one recommended to us, and we all called in sick one. Well, we called in sick. We were all hungover, and we all like 5 of us got together, and we're like, "Hey, we have this board game that we got. Let's try it out." And that was we spent a whole afternoon playing, and it was awesome.
I like to call it like a gateway game. It's very accessible. It's easy for people who haven't played board games
That's
to understand, and it's like a good hour. So it's not a 3-hour one, so it's not so daunting for someone that's not new to it. But it's long enough so they get a feel for
when
the
you kind
game.
of develop strategies,
Exactly.
just enough where you can start feeling like it's not random chance
Correct.
that you're kind of developing it on your own. Yeah, I like that one a lot. And they have a whole series, don't
They
they?
do. They have like Africa, Europe.
Yeah, they have different maps, then they have different versions. Like the U.S. version actually doesn't have certain things that the German version has, and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Just like, well, and a lot of games do that too. If it's successful, they'll branch on, like the Munchkin, I think. They
Expansions.
have like
Munchkin.
expansions, you can just keep adding to it.
I mean, that's a great way
Munchkin's
to...
its own monster, though.
Yeah, it keeps the game, like, you've played it so many times, you can start to always... you're going to play it the same way, probably. Yeah. Where when you're adding expansions in, it changes the elements of the game. So
talk about what are expansion packs for the people at home that don't
Expansion packs are basically set for the game. It is just smaller sets. So like maybe the main box is $50. An expansion will be like 20 or 30, and it adds new pieces, new cards, different ways
objectives.
different ways to play
So
the game.
imagine, like, let's say you were playing like a classic game most people like Sorry, but then they were like, oh, here's the numbers 13, 14, and 15, and they had different properties. Now the whole game can change depending on that. See, that's interesting, but it's almost like updates for a video game where this is something I bought the Hyrule Warriors. I'm a big Legend of Zelda fan, and I beat the game, and I was like, well, that's a shame. That seemed like a little. What is this? $4.99? I can double the content.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's something accessible now that wasn't before. I mean, obviously expansion packs probably, but now that we're seeing that people like being able to, if they like a game, to continue to add to it year after year, and now that's possible with video and board and card games.
It's very smart for the distributors and the creators to do that, and it just keeps the game relevant in people's lives.
Well, and once you get them on the hard sale, the very first one, if they like it, you've got all those sales afterwards as well.
And some of them it's great because something like Ticket to Ride, the expansions for the most part are different boards. It's not really there's a few little things that add on to the game you're already playing, but
isn't there like monsters in one?
Yeah, there's like there's a King Kong and a Godzilla that you can place on the board.
Where they destroy trains.
Alvin and Dexter. No, they're attacking the city, so your route doesn't go through that city. Yeah, but then and so like if you're playing with the Africa map, it's a totally different game. You're just using the pieces from your main box.
And it's a great way to learn about other countries.
That's true.
Educational aspect here at Common Ground Games.
But then other games like Settlers of Catan...
We don't like to bring that up on the show. We're gonna
edit it out.
No education. But then games like Settlers of Catan, the expansions...
And that's a big one, too.
Yeah,
I've been hearing a lot about that one.
Yeah, the expansions for that actually add on to the main game. You have your main board out, and you're adding pieces onto it. So it's literally expanding what you're doing during the game.
And you play as Chris Catan, expanding your empire.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, the Monkey Empire.
Okay,
yes,
that's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
Mr. Peepers.
There's the Mango Empire, too.
I think I'm too old for this joke.
Old Saturday Night Live. I'll pull it up. We'll pull up the clip for it.
Oh,
you don't
know if we
live.
need to.
Okay.
You don't need to. You don't need to. It's fine.
So, gosh. All right. I'm all the questions. Next. No.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So I am this is a two-part question. I am a huge fan. Like I grew up playing, video games though, but all computer-based games, and they're all essentially computer-based board games. So if I'm like a fan of like say, Baldur's Gate or maybe because I know those are just recently been re-released and they're very popular, and then also Wasteland 2 just got re-released. Is there like kind of games like that are, or are those just like just video board games?
There are definitely versions of games like something.
Oh wait,
like
we should hire Daniel. That should bring him in the studio with questions like
That's
that.
the first. Yeah,
Sorry,
he answers the real question. Yeah.
Like something like Baldur's Gate, I would probably point you towards something like Descent, where you're playing with your friends and it's what's called a dungeon crawl game. So it would seem like a very familiar, scenario to you, but one person gets to play the Overlord, who's trying to kill all the other players.
I'll take
Kinda
that
like,
one.
I used to play Hero Quest.
Yeah.
With my friends.
I actually have Hero.
Yeah.
Now, how do you?
Good one. But the problem was the wizard always died.
Yeah,
So it really, at the end of the day, you needed just the brute strength of the barbarian. He's the only one that's going to make it through the
Now, let me ask you this.
whole dungeon.
How do
Wait,
you
he had a
feel
two-part
about-
question.
Oh, I'm
He had a
sorry.
two-part
Well,
question.
hold on, but this is the intermission. We're going to come back for Act 2 of that. How do you feel about board games that were just directly translated to video screens, like when they did Monopoly
Ticket to Ride.
and Ticket? Oh, really?
Yeah, you can play that on your phone, right?
on apps.
On an
Oh,
app.
yeah.
I'm thinking of the first time they did Monopoly. It was literally just the Monopoly board on screen. I'm like, it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
For the most part, that's actually a really good thing. Most of that, what it's doing is it's reaching a different audience. Those people almost invariably will come and
into the
find like Ticket to Ride. Actually, they were at one point kind of getting ready to everything's going to be digital. We should probably go that route. They released the app, and it made the board game so much more popular because people were like, I really like this. I want to be able to set it out on a table and sit around and play with my friends.
Exactly.
It's they work both ways. They actually advertise each other. The board game makes people like, oh, I can get a digital version of this to play one by myself against computer opponents.
That makes sense,
And the other way around too.
All right, there's a 5-second warning. We're going to ask that everybody return to the seats. So we're going to stop serving drinks. We're going to come back to the second part of Daniel's question. Go ahead, sir.
Oh,
That's a good point.
okay. I thought I had to wait 5 seconds for it.
No, that was for picking people in the
second-
seats.
This is a much not.
We have quite a large audience for the people at home. We have quite a large audience. We want to make
Really
sure
should
they get
not
back
have
to the
done any
seats.
build up for this. But I mean, so do you find? So I do not follow. Again, I'm a video game guy, and now has there been a major resurgence with like Kickstarter and those kind of formats where you have independent developers developing a lot of these newer games, or is it all coming from
They're
like a consumer driven?
I'm sorry, I should have explained.
place?
There is a 5-second wait for you guys to answer, though. So let's.
And of course, the filmmaker's going to ask the Kickstarter question.
Okay, go ahead and answer the question.
there are a lot of independent people, and there's a lot of people who have made games for other companies who are using Kickstarter and stuff like that. There are a lot of people who think they know what they're doing and putting things on Kickstarter, and
You hear success stories like Cards Against Humanity, but the reality is they don't all end like that.
And some of the ones that really truly do succeed on Kickstarter, they're actually being backed by bigger companies. And then you have the reverse problem of bigger companies that have no business using Kickstarter, just doing it so they remove their own risk.
Like Zach Braff.
Third part question.
He's earned it.
Sorry,
He's
I'm on
earned
a
it.
roll
These,
here.
these are actually doing very well.
Okay,
I'm going to go back to playing Tetris on my phone while Daniel
I
answers
am.
this.
There's a board game for that.
I have had this like dream game that I've always wanted to create. Who do I go to talk to about that? Like,
We could certainly hook you up with people. There are, if you look on certain forums, there are all sorts of like game developer conferences and things like that now. And locally, we have a lot of people who have kickstarted games, and some of them who've done quite well with it. And there's a local group called DFW Nerd Night that several of the people are participate in that are game developers and or developing their own games as well.
We want our store to be a community space for questions like this and for people like this who have an interest in gaming and just need to find other people to help them figure that out. We would love for people to come and play test their games at our store. Now with the extra space, we are that resource.
So, I mean, would you ever like to get to a point where you have to hire a bouncer? There's a line of people outside, and you're like, you, and the girl with the titties. Inside, come on in. And then, I could just see somebody like Daniel getting drunk while playing board games, getting tossed out for asking questions to the developers. Would you like to get to that point? That seems pretty successful.
script.
Like a studio.
Here's my resume. Here's my.
Awesome.
Well, there was actually
Like the Studio 54 of board games.
no.
Lots of cocaine.
No.
strippers.
No,
Oh,
no,
the
please.
guy that
No,
brought
please.
crack.
I mean,
It's the internet. You can be okay with it. Yeah.
There was actually in town this week was the Board Game Geek Con, and they even had like
A crack problem?
a different crack problem.
But they had
yes,
a
it was
bunch of the
rampant.
game developers and publishers were there, and so they had like a speed dating thing for
Oh,
people
wow.
who wanted to show off
That's
the
kind of a
games.
cool, yeah.
That and then what it was
like a
is-
Shark Tank kind of a thing.
No, it was a speed dating thing where you basically had 2 minutes to kind of to explain your game, and then later on,
It's like a chat roulette.
they basically the publishers
Less dick
could
pics.
go back and say, okay, I actually want to see this game, and they set up an appointment during the rest of the week.
Yes, that's
to
like Shark
actually-
Tank. You're finding a backer. You're. Yes.
Yeah, but like more like chat roulette. Instead
It's
of
more,
dicks,
like, it's more like Dragon
It's like
Den,
someone
the
with money.
original
There you go.
Japanese version of
It's
Shark
like,
Tank.
who are you going to talk to today? Oh, it's someone with money.
On their penis.
if that happened on chat roulette, I think chat roulette would be a very, very, very different thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're going to take a quick break.
conversation.
We're going to come
On
back.
the penis talk.
Yes. And on that note, perfect. We're going to go out. Daniel Laabs is going to be up next. Of course, the boys from Common Ground are going to sit in and interview us. You're listening to the WTF with Mark Maron
That's right.
podcast. We'll talk to you in just a bit. Fun time, good show. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, first
What
off,
is going on with that? It's the second time it's done that.
I don't think the audio likes you today.
that is our real names, but also our band name. Call us creative or lazy. You're going to be right either way on that one. So, the first song we've decided to do today is
Probably the one closest to our hearts.
yeah, it's one of those where it's like opening up our diary and reading a page out of it and kind of seeing our hearts.
So if you fall asleep during this,
We're really going to get pissed. We will walk out.
Sorry, that was my pet chipmunk. All right, go ahead.
Okay, the song goes
And I got to
out.
say, this is when I
Oh.
saw you live the other day. This was one of my favorites, just so you
Of
know.
course it was.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. And you are the brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Oh, you wanna pull up tough 'cause you notice that butt was stuffed deep in the jeans she's wearing. Well, I'm hooked and I can't stop staring. No, baby, I wanna get with you and take your picture. But my homeboys tried to warn me, but that butt you got makes me so. Oh, rump of smooth skin. You say you wanna get in my Benz. Well, use me, use me, 'cause you ain't that average boozy. Use me, 'cause I've seen.
All right, we're back with what's another show? You're watching Dynasty on deepelmonair.com. We're back in studio.
Not JR.
That's the wrong show, sweetheart.
Oh, yeah, that's Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah, we'll go out on
Adorable.
Dallas. All right, well,
There
I'll
you
go
go.
out on that one later. So now in studio we have Daniel Laabs, and it says here on my video,
Cheat
the
sheet.
the board game, electronic board game screen, that you're an award-making filmmaker.
Sometimes that happens.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I make movies, and I don't know how to pitch that. I mean, I make movies, and like you said, at one or two instances, they've done really well. Yeah.
The short film is called Easy. We've got a trailer for that.
I was going to say we're going to be playing a little bit of that in a bit.
Oh.
So would you like to just roll that and then talk about it? Is that
Yeah. Why not? That sounds
Okay.
good.
Let me get this thing paused here. For some reason, this other screen doesn't want to pause, so it's getting closed. See, that's how I deal with problems. I don't play games, I said.
I'll warn you that the trailer is much, much more enigmatic and creepy than the actual movie is.
Well, after you were creeped out by the song that led into you, I think it all kinds of works together.
So we are trying to figure out what is this
Oh, come on, you technological.
See, now I'm thinking maybe I should just go down to become a Luddite and only do board games because this is
You are fired from your show.
All right, here we go. So it's called the title is called Easy. Right? All right.
It's easy. Can they hear us while the video's playing?
Would you like them to? That's an option. Would you like to comment through it, or maybe
no? Because
riff track your own thing?
I haven't watched it in a long time, so I have no idea what is playing when.
All right. Well, here let's. Then we will mute everybody out of respect for the Artur.
Oh.
And here we go.
See that?
Why don't you spend some time with your brother tonight? What do you want to do?
You're obviously mad for some reason. But if anything, I think I'm doing this for me. Right?
He's going to do the same stuff when.
That was Easy by filmmaker Daniel Laabs. Now, I've heard this film likened to the Heathcliff cartoon. Is that accurate, or am I misinformed on that? How would you describe this film?
More like Garfield.
Very much like Heathcliff. It's a bunch of alley cats that are just like doing their own thing. They really don't have rules, and they kind of make the rules as they go. Unlike gaming, I think. Unless depending on the game, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you're letting the game makers control your lives by giving you rules? Like sometimes I'll just throw out the rules and play Monopoly, like Mousetrap. No one ever played Mousetrap.
I have a feeling you probably haven't played Monopoly with the rules, actually.
I just take the car and race around the board as fast as I can, and whoever wins, and I try to make the dog win over the car. That's Monopoly. It's Monopoly. It's one of my favorite games. Love playing it. So
I think you missed
that's the one that's the joke of the show.
I think you missed something.
All right. So tell us a little. How did you get into filmmaking?
Well, I think I've always wanted to make films ever since I was a little kid. I always thought it would be a neat thing to do. Really curious about it, and then.
What was the first film you ever made?
The first film I ever made. That's a really hard question to ask because I made lots of really crappy.
I worked really hard on that question.
really crappy stuff for a long time. It's not crappy. It's actually incredibly charming, but it's not like for real people eyes. Then I don't know. I guess the first thing that I did, the first short film that I did was called Sleet Snow, and it was about a couple that goes on a.
Was it something you made by yourself or with some friends?
I made it while I was a student at UTA.
Okay. So this is actually a legit.
Yay, UTA.
Yes.
UTA taught you everything you ever needed to know about films,
I
right?
worked really
the
hard
University
to,
of Texas, asterisk down at the bottom of the page, Arlington. So,
yeah.
So what's your favorite part about it? Is it the directing, the writing, or do you like doing the audio and the visual? Or
I mean, I just like developing stories and creating stories and like finding stories that I want to see, and it's really difficult to do that, and that's why I like it. It's very challenging, and those are all the things I like about it. Just the challenge, and also eventually finding like a moment where you have like an emotional response to something that you've created with all these other people, and it's just really hard to get to that point, and if you can get to that point, then it's like really, really satisfying.
People, whenever they have an interest in something, it's usually because they were exposed to it at some point. Obviously, you can't want to be something you've never heard of, you know.
Oh yeah.
So what was it? Was it seeing a film? Was it seeing a behind-the-scenes documentary? Was it watching another film be produced? What got you interested in it at all?
I can't remember if it was ABC or NBC or CBS, but one of them showed the making of Jurassic Park, and I'm sure that probably was the beginning.
Really?
Like that, just knowing that somebody made that is like, oh, I've got this great idea. We're gonna take this book that is completely impossible to make into a movie, and we're gonna make it into a movie, and it's gonna be completely believable.
And you know what?
Like,
I actually watched this about 2 weeks ago, and
The new version with the digital dinosaurs?
yes, I thought that was way better than the normally. Most people are too young to remember that listen to this podcast. Mainly our listeners are 12-year-old boys. But the original Jurassic Park was just cardboard cutouts, and you could even occasionally see their little hands, the like fingers holding it. But since then, Spielberg went back and added in digital dinosaurs with walkie-talkies, and it looks great. I gotta say, after all these years since 2012, it holds up. It
still
holds up.
It's a good movie.
So no, it's actually one of my favorites. I watched it about 2 weeks ago, and I really was like, wow, these graphics look amazing years later.
Yeah, the original actually still looks really, really good. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the movie is particularly my favorite movie ever, but like just that idea that people actually worked, professionally and created it, that was really inspiring to me.
Do you have a favorite film?
Do I have a favorite film of this year? We can talk. I thought you guys wanted to talk.
Yeah,
we
about
do have a list that we're going to be going down.
If we're going to talk about films this year, then I'm happy to have that conversation. But of all time, I can't.
We only get a list of 500 of the best films of all time.
Yeah, give us your top 53 best films.
Right.
Let's start with 52 because 53 is just a
That's
long
pushing it. Yeah, you're right. That's right.
No,
wait, if you got a handful of just films that you really like, if somebody had to just toss off a few of your favorite films that you
Here,
like.
let me make this easier. Genre. What's the genre that you might be interested in right now that you take a collection and do?
I am super into like mystery thrillers. I just think that's a really interesting and it's very, very, it's a very broad category. Well, it's not broad, but it's very like a commercial category. But I think there's a lot of room to like be expressive in a mystery, and that enigma of what's going on, and also they're so exciting to watch. Like as you start to figure out what's going on,
sure.
You're like getting more and more invested into it, and I like that.
Mysteries are cool too because they can fit into multiple genres.
That's true. Yeah, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's totally a mystery.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
That's true.
Or even Interstellar, this new Christopher Nolan movie.
That's true. That I was about to say that is a mystery aspect. Even board games, Clue. See,
it's a mystery.
It's a mystery with multiple outcomes.
I like the movie more.
That's perfect.
I don't know. Has anybody ever had a game of Clue where they were like emotionally invested about halfway through?
No, I've never. I don't know that I've ever finished a game of Clue.
Have you?
Maybe it was it must have been on a road trip during the travel edition though.
Okay.
Where we were just very upset with each other, and it became like this like, why do you keep winning?
Here's an interesting fact about Clue. You know how it has the multiple endings? Originally, when shown in theaters, a theater would get a randomly selected ending, and so people would walk out and go to talk about it the next day with people, and they'd be like, no, it was the butler. What? No, it was Christopher Lloyd.
Because of the ending that they saw.
Right, and then other people would love it, and so the idea of packing all three on together now was only once it got re-released for home release. Yeah, so I thought that what a great idea of people going in to argue about what the fuck. Clearly, Christopher Lloyd. They showed it, and then to argue about that. What a great idea.
People actually died in fights over it.
Oh yeah.
It was like fisticuffs came out.
This was the Clue massacre of 1992, if I remember right.
Is that why some films have like 17 endings now?
Yeah, it's a dark period on American history.
You know when people say like, buy it on DVD, there's 4 alternative endings. You know what that says to me? We couldn't think of one really good one. Or
the ending we wanted to show, the studio basically said, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I get when there's a 1v1 alternative or like a director's cut, when they're like, we shot 18 endings, we just picked one that we thought we could. I don't know, that was never a reason to go get the DVD for me. Oh, look, ones that aren't as good as the one that made it onto the screen that I didn't really care about anyway.
I mean,
so.
I would say, this is just not to like talk about me, but like every time I've ever made a movie, whatever I've written as the ending almost is never what. Just because creatively I respond to a different point where I feel like the movie should end.
Right. Well, and that is true. Even Casablanca, known for that was not the ending scripted in what little script they had. Movies change endings all the time. Especially you can tell when they do an adaptation. most of it will follow from the book pretty well, and then the ending it just doesn't test well. It has to either be a happy ending or it just changes, and it's almost always that last third act where things just go.
I follow the
completely different.
Vincent Gallo technique of making movies. It's
I
always
thought you were going to say facial hair. But
it
go
always
ahead.
ends in suicide, and you work your way back from there. That's how he makes films.
So that's why I always liked, and this is where you talked about mystery. I'm a big fan of the Columbo television series, but where it was not classified as a whodunit, where you try to figure it out, they show you the crime, and it was called they would call it a how catch 'em, where you were trying to, well, how are they going to get the evidence to put this guy in jail? Which is always a weird inverted flip of mysteries for me, because you have all the information, but there's still the tension of, will the person get caught and how?
Yeah, I mean, well, they also in Columbo had their kind of ace in the back pocket, which is Peter Falk.
Yeah.
Peter Falk will eventually just ramble on until. Oh wait. There's something else.
That one, one more thing.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got something before we forget because we're going to forget if we don't talk about it now. Talk a little bit about what happened at the Texas Theater this weekend and the good news.
Yeah, really exciting. And I mean, this affects DR too. DR does some work with the Texas Theater.
It does. Fantastic.
DR
news.
with a TX. Look at that.
And
ASAP.
We actually just did a 40-something day Seed and Spark campaign, which is similar to Kickstarter, to raise money to add a DCP projector. Because prior to that, we didn't have a 4K digital projector. And not having industry standard projection for digital was hugely limiting to our programming capabilities at the Texas Theater. And we were like, a lot of time, I mean, it was great because we have this 35 millimeter projector. So that's like, that's our bread and butter of the theater. You can show old films that people want to see and they're going to come out in droves. But when it comes to like our digital stuff, we're really limited on what we could show because we didn't have a digital cinema package, which is also known as DCP, which is basically where
we all know.
Which basically it's a server that you have a hard drive that connects to it, that the studio sends you like a print. And part of that we were showing, a variety of formats, but none of them were industry standard. So now that we can show digital industry standard films, we have a huge advantage as far as like how to program and strategize like the types of films that we're releasing.
What are you thinking is,
or we're exhibiting, sorry.
What do you if you get to pick, what kind of film do you want to launch the system on, I guess, or what would be the maiden voyage? You thought about what you want to...
So there's two films that are notoriously unavailable on any kind of film print, just because they were released in such bizarre original prints. One is Lawrence of Arabia, which was released...
Wow, I love it. It's one of my favorite
which
films.
was released in this really bizarre format that just doesn't really exist anymore, and there's no real way to show the original print. It exists in its archival form.
Didn't that have an odd aspect ratio, too, that was silent? Instead of like 2.81, it was like 2.97. It was a really weird aspect.
You just can't show that film anymore. It doesn't exist. And if you were showing it, you weren't showing the proper version. And you don't want to show a bastardized version.
You don't like Pan and Scan?
I
would
actually on Tuesday Night Trash we do show Pan and Scan films on occasion, but they're usually secret. So one of the ones that we're going to show early on is the DCP version of that, which is the only way you can show it.
Wow.
And it's a 4K restoration. The people who did this, they labored for years to make this the best possible, closest to the original version that you can. And if you can't show the film print, then you want to show the next best thing. And the next best thing, in this case, might even have like some kind of bizarrely more pure result than even the film.
To the original idea of what they were trying to create.
Exactly. Because I guarantee you, the filmmakers, if there wasn't such a thing as a difference between film or digital or whatever, and you just had what you had and you just wanted to tell a story, at the end of the day, you just want to tell a story.
Right.
So the filmmakers, I think that there's, now we're in a very luxurious place where filmmakers can choose if they're big enough, they can choose if they want to shoot film or release on film or not, like Christopher Nolan did with that. But some filmmakers don't have that option, and
well, we know you do, so you're shooting 70 millimeter the next time you do.
Yeah,
he's all 3D 70
I
millimeter.
actually just had a beautiful conversation with Robert Elswit. He's so excited about what I'm doing. I think, and also we're going to show 2001: A Space Odyssey because that was released in a 3 projector release. The original release is impossible to show unless you have 3 projectors that can all overlap and project the same.
No, really, I mean that's absolutely my favorite. That's in my top 10 films. But I've never, and I actually have the book, the beyond the behind the 2001 Rip Arthur C. Clarke. I've never heard of that. So explain how that works.
Okay, so
does it create a 4-dimensional time portal when they overlap? And
no,
cross the screens?
it's just massive. I went to go see actually.
Oh, I see. So it's actually they cover different parts of the screen.
Yeah, I actually saw Star Trek Generations in this format. It was one of the later films that was still being shown at these bizarre theaters that showed this, like, it's a round screen that kind of wraps around the front of the room, and it's the size of 3 screens next to each other.
Wow.
And it's huge, and it's super and impressive, and Lawrence of Arabia was shown that way too. So that just doesn't exist anymore. Those theaters don't even really exist anymore. So now the only way to see a film on a grand scale like that, and the best place to see it is at the Texas Theater. It's a huge auditorium.
And what's your relation with Texas Theater?
I am a manager there. I work in the programming with the team that comes up with the films that we show, and I also do a lot of marketing and stuff like that.
What would it take to get Funtime Good Show to present Birdemic?
Birdemic. Are you familiar with Birdemic?
I do know about Birdemic. Well, they do.
This is one of my favorite bad films of all time. I can watch it once a day.
We've actually thought about it before. The thing is that Inwood does show Birdemic, and they've
never
did it.
No, they've listed the room. That's the one reason I want to do it is Birdemic has never aired in Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex.
Okay, well, you know what? After the show, let's have a little conversation.
I would love to see that on the big screen.
You have my email now. You have my real email.
But no, I checked with the Inwood because I was wanting to go see when they were going to do it. No, they play the room pretty often, which is Tommy Wiseau's was genius work of crap, but it's wonderful. But no, Birdemic's never been shown in the Dallas Fort Worth Theater.
So sad. Hey, do you work with the film festival at all? The Oak Cliff Film Festival?
I do work with the film festival. I'm one of the core programmers for that. Yeah.
How is the digital going to change the programs that you get in for that? I know that, especially as we go forward, there's more digital kind of stuff. Is that going to affect what you can program for the festival?
I would say that our facility gets turned down. Prior to having DCP, we would get turned down because we couldn't show a certain film in the only way that they were showing it. A good example of that would have been, it actually is Boyhood. We were in the later talks. Boyhood never had a festival screening in Dallas. Right. And we were in the late talks of that, and the only way we could have shown it would be on HD cam, and they're just like, no,
right.
And honestly, we don't really have the facilities to do HD cam. It's kind of we have to jump through a crazy number of hoops. But now with DCP, we can jump to the end of the conversation and hey, we've got the system, and we're going to show it the best possible way.
When is that going to be installed into the theater?
It'll be installed in early 2015. And if you donated, if you contributed, and you're watching this because I plugged it after it went on the air, and you're wondering about your incentives, you can get the incentives. We're going to start emailing about incentives already next week because we have a staff that's ready to go.
But the funding is closed?
The funding is closed. We got 100%.
But if someone was if I still want to write you a check for $6,000, would you say no? It's closed.
If you want to write us a check for $6,000, there's a lot of really interesting things you can do with $6,000 in our theater. If you want to book your own screening of Birdemic, you can do that for a lot less than $6,000.
How much if somebody wanted to book their own personal screening?
If you wanted to do Birdemic on a weeknight, it'd be Monday or Tuesday night prime time. It'd be about $250.
Wow, that's
now you have
reasonable.
to pay the licensing fees of Birdemic,
right,
and also another
which I can't believe actually exists.
They're probably somewhat steep. And the room, they make a killing on licensing.
Oh,
fees.
It's ridiculous.
Because they know they're going to sell it out.
Yeah,
and if Tommy shows up, then they're going to double sell it out. So yeah, it's So
okay, so you were talking about we almost got to it, and then we got distracted for about 20 minutes.
Go ahead.
New films. You talked about new films.
Matt Mayer has a list that we were going to go down. We wanted to see who has seen it and what they thought of it.
Let's see.
I have a list too that I'll plug a couple things from.
Oh, fantastic!
At the end of plugs.
Okay.
Or we'll go through this and we'll see if any of them come up.
The plug apocalypse.
Yeah.
Down towards the end there. Okay.
Oh.
So you want to go through this list? You thought this segment up here?
The most recent film that I've seen that I saw at the Lone Star Film Festival is Zero Motivation. Did you see that? The Israeli film?
I have seen Zero Motivation. I think it's a very good film. I'm surprised that's the first thing you're bringing up.
It was fun. I just watched a couple weeks ago, and she's not the Israeli Lena Dunham like some people says. I don't think it was that, but it was definitely an interesting thing. I also learned while I was watching it that I am so desensitized to violence on the screen.
Yeah.
When she's getting rid of her tattoo,
Yeah.
all the old people in the screening goes. And I
You
was
were
just
also
like,
at the Lone Star Film Festival.
yeah, that's true too.
Spoiler.
Go.
Oh, yeah.
You have no
There are-
idea how she removed
There
her
are
tattoo.
numbers in the film. There you go. There are tattoos in the film. Spoiler alert.
I can actually get to one that Del watched. Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh yeah,
Which is
I was actually-
fantastic. That was.
That's like one thing we didn't show at the Texas Theater, but like one of the things we asked fans about, like what films would you like us to show? And even though it's been on DVD for a while, people are just like clamoring for us to show that on the big screen at our theater, and we didn't show it because it was DCP released.
Right.
But we did show Dance of Reality,
yes.
which is like a double feature. Jodorowsky's like latest film. He's actually really still a really it's like Coppola has kind of like lost his steam a little bit in his later years, but like Jodorowsky, his films are still very much the same type of films that he was making, back.
Well, it makes me
in the
sad
70s.
because, like, we talked about this, that when you watch the documentary, you're like, well, that could have been so amazing. Would have been absolutely, in my opinion, one of the best sci-fi films ever
Or
made.
it could have been as bad as Lynch's version because the technology just wasn't there. Like,
Somebody
be
wants
able
to do
I
a
don't
3D
know.
animated version of it.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
The
They're
television
going to
show
take
is
all of his designs and just and get all the Mobius designs
Yeah.
and all the.
Well, I mean, he even said, he's like, hey, if it didn't make it into this movie, I made another movie and I put that over there. So you can see a lot of the designs in some of his other films. But, the television show wasn't too bad. I liked the books. I got through about a season and a half of television. It was good. And then I didn't care anymore, so I stopped watching. But it was done pretty well. Matt, one of your others?
Nightcrawler. Did you see that with Jake Gyllenhaal?
I really want to see it.
It's on the top of my list. I wanna
Very
see it
creepy,
very
quite
much.
strange. Let's see. Gone Girl. That was like the big film of this year that everybody had an opinion
Yeah,
about.
no, oddly enough, I had read the book on this one and was like, oh, that looks like an interesting movie. I should go see it. And then somebody told me the premise of it. I'm like, this sounds just like this book I read called Gone Girl. Okay,
did,
never
yeah.
mind. So, but
The
very good
best
story, though.
Dateline show episode ever.
The
but
book was great. I haven't seen the film yet.
It hurt my feelings that he wasted his time on that. Very much did.
I actually walked out of Gone Girl.
No, I can understand that.
I just saw Birdman. I don't know if that's on your
Oh,
list.
I can't
yeah,
wait
yeah.
to see that.
But
one.
I just saw
Yeah.
Birdman, and I was just, I was like, I had it was like a bachelor weekend for me. I was like all by myself. So I was like, I'm gonna go see movies the whole weekend. And I saw Birdman like first show of the day, and then I just said, okay, I'll go see Gone Girl afterwards. It's starting right now.
Yeah.
And I was like in this kind of euphoric zone from Birdman. I was like, I can't
Oh,
believe
that'll
be
be
a
the
letdown.
worst way to go
I
see
can't
it.
believe that this is like a movie that exists. And then I like walk into in the opening seconds of Gone Girl. It's like Ben Affleck saying, all I could imagine was crushing my wife's skull. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? Why am I going to sit for 3 hours and watch Ben Affleck ruminate
The first
ruminate
line of the
about
film is a
murdering his wife
spoiler.
brutally?
Right.
So I figured, I'll just come back and see it when I'm in the mood to watch a wife murder movie.
Well, there you go.
But then
It's
I realized
also a mystery, kind of.
Then I realized I actually don't have the mood where I want to watch wife murdering movies, and then I was like, "This is going to be a Netflix thing." And
I have films that I roll over Netflix. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
I'm
sweet
absolutely-
that you actually don't steal movies online like I do. Like I may or may not have watched Dumb and Dumber Part 2 on the interwebs.
Why did
this
you add the
weekend.
word "part" in there? It's Dumb and Dumber 2. Respect the filmmakers, man.
The second version of the first one.
Hey, I'm already paying for Netflix. If it's there, I'd rather watch it through them and let them get their money. If not, you're going to be a dick about it.
Dumb and Dumber too.
It was kind of funny. It really was.
I'm going to see just because I love the original. Even if I hate this one, at least I'll have watched it. It'll be in my past and it'll be gone behind me. And if I like it, great.
The toughest critics have all said by the end, I was fine that they made this movie.
I've heard very
that's
middle
all
of
I
the
need-
road.
That's all I need. To
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't embarrass. And then the last one that I enjoyed a lot, The Drop, James Gandolfini's last film.
No.
Oh yeah, I
It
want to
was
see that
it was
too.
really good. It's a good crime thriller. That's my genre. That's the one I love.
Of course, on
So,
the list was Interstellar. Matt and I went and saw.
Yeah, we went and saw that.
Maybe my favorite film of the year. Not exactly story wise, but just the last time I can think of the time I saw a big grandiose film with that much, story and I won't say gravitas. That's just they said the
Wonder.
word gravity.
Wonder.
90%. Yeah,
Wonder,
Wonder.
absolutely.
It was
You can
fascinating.
Really appreciate
It was.
Wonder. Did you guys see it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
I
that's
called
why
it the
it made me
new.
sad.
I called it the new 2001, just in its scope, and I don't mean that the story is exactly like that or anything,
Or
but
that it's 3 hours long.
yeah. Or and what's weird is they do have a Starfield sequence in this one too. It's essentially it's shorter, it makes a little more sense, but it was grandiose in its scale, and I can appreciate when somebody can do that without me going, oh, "Fuck this" and walking out. You messed up everything. That's pretty hard.
It's a neat movie because I'm not a huge Christopher Nolan fan. I like some of the Batman movies. I didn't like them as a whole. I wasn't a huge this is a groundbreaking series of films that we're never gonna forget. There's some really great moments in them. There's definitely some high highs, but this was like the first Christopher Nolan movie where I was like, I connect with these characters. I understand what they're going through. This is a completely ridiculous plot, but who cares? This is so freaking fun.
I mean, I'm
to
not
watch.
saying it didn't have holes and some problems and some things I would have tweaked. I would have been like, "No, Chris, let's sit down and work on this." But overall, I mean, I got to say to have something of that scale and make it work still at the end of the day, I think it was a pretty. And the musical score was probably the best I've heard.
I've been listening to it since I saw
It's
it.
really
amazing. So,
all right. So what films do you have on your list?
Oh yeah, Lucy was on your list. Fuck that movie.
Yeah,
I like Luke Besson,
Lucy.
but any movie that has a premise of that flawed idea if we only use 10% of our brains, out on the basic premise of how dumb that is. Second of all, even
Did
if
you
you
actually
could,
see the movie?
No,
No.
of course he didn't.
That is a line they use in the commercial. In the movie, he explains how he basically says that.
Okay, good. Okay, well, all right. Well, then maybe I will.
The movie was
on the other hand, though, even if you could use 100% of your brain, doesn't mean that physics doesn't apply. No. You still can't fling bodies up in the air.
It's a Luc Besson film. It's just fantasy.
See, that's the only reason I'm gonna go see it. Is if it's just
fun.
pure.
I wouldn't say it was anything great.
Yeah, because I'm not saying The Fifth Element was practically physically accurate too, but I do love Luke Besson, so I say that, but I guarantee when I'm going to get really drunk and I'm going to want to watch
Scarlett Johansson, though. Once again, I no matter what you put her in, I always just think she is good. She does.
She had some great acting moments.
Yeah.
She's got some.
She's definitely whatever that star power. I mean, whatever that.
You guys see Under the Skin?
Looks good.
No. Oh man, there's some boners in that movie. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there.
All right, and of course,
I was pretty impressed.
And of course, the blockbuster of the year, the expected fun film that the summer was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So which somehow I've downloaded legally 4 times, and every time I keep getting a bad version that glitches, messes up, and it's.
Did you try the iTunes one? It's pretty good.
Is it? Well, he's
Not
got
so glitchy.
he's got a link for me now. Well, usually I get irritated. And I'm like, well, fine, then fuck them if I can't get. But I somehow.
Well, if one of these movies that you want to see is playing at the Texas Theater sometime soon, just let me know. And I'll be sure you guys have the best seats in the house.
Oh, I will. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
There's not a bad seat in that house.
There are.
And if there's that one behind the column.
If anybody wants a guide of where not to sit in that theater, I am always happy. If people are coming through the door and they're and I know they're about to go sit in the wrong seat because they're a couple and they want to get cuddly and they want to sit in the back. That's the worst seat. Yeah. That is absolutely the top of the screen is cut off because the balcony hangs too low.
Well, I've heard for an audiophile, if you want to go, that when they're setting up the sound system, it's 2/3 of the way back. 1 or 2 seats either left or right from center.
Not at the Texas Theater.
Not at the theater. Okay.
No, actually, it's about, I would say, tops 1/3 of the way back from the front in the center, and sit close to the center. It's a massive 4-story auditorium. It's huge.
It's an impressive theater. Yeah,
it echoes, and you want that audio to be the cleanest audio you can get. It's going to bounce off those walls so much that the only way to get the best audio there is to sit I'd say tops 10 rows back from the front in the center.
Yeah, when I see people shooting down Birdemics, I want the best audio.
No, we'll make sure that that happens.
You can really see. I only got to see this on the small screen. I never got to see. So this would be a pure joy to watch this piece of awesome garbage on the big screen. I would die happy.
Looking forward to that at all. Just not.
Well, I mean, but you like The Room, right? That's so bad it's good to you, right? No?
I'm gonna watch TV. That's why we watched Alf last week. Next week, Small Wonder. I'm gonna watch cheesy stuff. This is what I'm gonna watch.
See, you like cheese that's passable. I like cheese that's god awful. I like my cheese to have turned rotted and begin running onto other food.
So let's talk about some good films.
Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm only gonna do like one from each. So I have like different types of categories of what is a good movie, and I think like Oddball. I think Birdman's kind of towards the top of my list.
That looks just really amazing and
It's
original.
just immaculately created. It's an actual good performance from Edward Norton. I'm not a huge Edward Norton fan, but he's really good in it. Then I would say my personal favorite movie that I sat in the theater and watched this year was The Trip to Italy.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard of this.
Steve
What is that
Coogan
one?
and Robert
Oh,
Brydon.
that's the sequel.
Yes.
That's the sequel to The Trip, right?
Yeah, it's they go to Italy, but it's
great.
It's such an intense creative turn for like a sequel. It's a gorgeously shot movie. The conversations are just as funny, but it actually achieves something that the first one was like, it kind of clicked on that kind of cynical, like we're frustrated kind of thing, and it really made sense in that way. This one is very emotional, and you connect, and it has a very soulful resonance. And like the end sequence is, you have to see the whole movie, but it's like the end sequence catches you way off guard, and you're just like, wow, that's probably the most subtle and beautiful ending I've seen in a movie this year.
Wow,
At least that's how I
ringing
that's how
review.
I'll go home and I'm all
it.
about hyperbole.
So they don't like try and rob a bank and die and like crossfire.
The whole premise of the Trip movies is they just sit around and
food.
eat,
Yeah.
and make do terrible or great impersonations.
Yeah, I mean the Michael Caine scene is still. I could watch that every day of my life for the rest of my life.
And then I would say there's quite a lot of stuff foreign that I like this year, but I'm going to avoid that actually because it's too complicated to explain. But my documentary picks are really easy to explain, so I'll go with my documentary ones. The Internet's Own Boy.
No.
It's the story of Aaron Schwartz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
it's a stunning documentary. Premiered at Sundance this year. The theater played it, and they gave us no promotional materials. And I was just totally shocked. Like, no one knew in Dallas that we were showing this the Aaron Schwartz story.
Yeah.
And if you know who Aaron Schwartz is, like, if you don't, just when it comes out on Netflix, look it up.
Or Wikipedia.
Yeah, I mean, the guy had an incredible life and was made an example of by the government.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
really, really, really interesting what happened. And when it comes to the internet, our government is so terrified of everything that happens on there, and they freak out for just anything they can. And if they can get you in trouble, and you have any kind of like public stature, they will, and they'll go after you with everything they've got.
Well, as Ted Cruz knows, it's just like Obamacare.
Yeah,
It's the same
the internet is scary.
Yeah.
And it's very socialist. And then the other ones I had on here are The Great Invisible by Margaret Brown.
Oh, all right.
The Great Invisible won at South by Southwest this year, and it's being slowly released in theaters. It'll probably be released very soon on the internet to see, but it's about the Deepwater Horizon spill. Very heavy subject matter, but it follows an intimate story of what happened to the survivors of the guys who were actually on the platform. So take that, and then it also follows, the guys at the
comedy
top, at the very top.
Comedy.
So you get to know the people who actually are at the top of the oil industry. They're not the actual people from BP, but they are just people who own their own oil companies, and they're just sitting around. There's this incredible scene where there's like 5 oil company tycoons that are just sitting around a table smoking cigars, and they're just chatting about stuff like green energy and like how that works, and they know everything about, it's like you think that they are ignoring that stuff.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like know your enemy.
No, they don't consider it their enemy. They actually invest in it.
Well, that's what I was saying,
and they know lots about it, but they have a very
right. If you're going to move into that, you need to know about
but
it.
Even then, they've already made their money. Let's face it, they've made generations worth of money.
But there's still more to be made. That's the point.
Well, at a certain point, it's like it's kind of like a feed the machine thing.
Yeah,
The machine is still going, and there's no way for them to stop doing with it. Anyways, the documentary is way more eloquent about this than I am, and it really goes into some
what's it called again?
Places. It's called the Great Invisible.
The Great Invisible. Okay.
And it's probably going to get nominated for Academy Award. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think it will.
It only was here briefly, and I don't know if you guys had it or what, but Kill the Messenger. Did you guys end up having that
I
one
know
about
of the
Gary
film.
Webb?
I know of the film, yeah, but I haven't seen it.
I'm so interested to see that. I spent many hours this weekend watching C-SPAN just so I could watch Gary Webb talk about this whole thing.
On YouTube. So you
On
actually
YouTube.
went,
Watching
Oh my
C-SPAN
gosh.
on YouTube. That's what
Which
I spend
is
my
free.
YouTube time. Yeah, there you go.
Tax dollars in emotion.
Yeah, no kidding. But he was a reporter for the San Jose Mercury in '97. He wrote a 6-part series about CIA selling drugs to Los Angeles and to the inner city in Los Angeles, which ended up causing the crack epidemic and everything else. And he was just destroyed by government-run newspapers, Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, that kind of stuff. And they just came down hard on him, and he ended up committing suicide with 2 bullets in his head. So, let that play for what it is. But it looked like a really
When that first one didn't
interesting-
work, he went ahead and took the second
Yeah,
shot.
Jeremy
yeah.
Renner's in that movie. And,
Oh yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
that looks. Jeremy Renner has a great agent. He's a
Yeah,
great
no
Yeah,
kidding.
no
agent.
kidding.
I did not think that anything was going to happen with that career, and he's doing really cool stuff.
Yeah. So, guys, as we begin to wrap up, did you have any more, Daniel? I'm sorry about that. No. That's 3 right
Stamp
there. I
on
need to
that.
go see. I'm a big fan of documentaries. My favorite film is Fast, Cheap, and Out of Control by Errol Morris, and I own
Love Errol
everything by Errol Morris. And so those sound really, really fascinating to me. And Guardians of the Galaxy,
You did
which
watch-
is a documentary too, I believe. So
You did watch the
a lot
last
to
one you
learn.
did, right? About Tabloid?
no, I own it. It is so much of. I've not gotten to that one
Gotta watch
yet.
that.
That's the next one.
Fascinating.
Great.
So, favorite still. I mean, the rise of Frederick Luther, the Mr. Death. Well, all of them. Just if you're at home, go get the Errol Morris
Yeah,
collection.
just
Start
type in his
watching it.
name.
And he did a TV show
Fog
called
of
First
War?
Person. Yeah, Fog of War was good, but First Person, and most people, it's really hard to get your hands on, even on through Amazon. So, but that's a great show. It's 10 episodes. And they usually
That was
do.
one with the guy who went back to high school 3 times, right?
Yes, that
And
was
he's
also
like
the
the super
smartest man in the
genius.
world. The
Yeah.
man with the highest IQ works as a bouncer. The lady with autism.
That was his name.
the lady with autism who designs cattle corrals for keeping the cattle calm before they're slaughtered, but she loves cows, and it's just, again, all fascinating people. So, all right, well, let's put a cap on that, put it in a bottle, send it out to sea, and I guess no one will ever find it, and we're stuck here, fellas. Sorry about that. Anything that we need to plug? Let's start with the common ground.
Yeah, we have this coming Saturday.
MLK, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's some big shoes to fill. Next Saturday is Small Business Saturday, which is going to be our expansion party. So we'll be having some big discounts going on in the store, and we hope people come out. And we have a great big demo wall that people can come and play games for free and learn about games. So come out next Saturday from 12 to 6. We'll probably have some food there.
What's your address again? I mean, obviously you can. What's your website, and then they can
personal
find everything
address?
they need. Yeah.
Our website is boardgamesdallas.com. And our physical location is 1328 Inwood Road.
And that worked out well for y'all. I mean, that you happen to get that one, but you're
Well,
based in
that's why
Dallas,
we-
and it's got board
that's
games.
why we got
so
it.
you lucked out in that.
Yeah.
There's actually
That was my contribution.
Common Ground Games. CommonGroundGames.com is a defunct video game con in the UK, and they won't sell me
Son of
the
a
URL.
bitches.
Well, we don't need it. We have.
So I got another
Hey,
one.
I wanted to get for the show Fun Time Good Show. I wanted to get SpaceJam.com, but that motherfucker's still up and running from the film. You can still go there and visit it.
Yeah.
So
We also have a big a community push for the store. We do once a month. We play games at the Ronald McDonald House with the kids and their families. So I'm always looking for people to join us. It's the third Sunday from 7 to 8:30 at the Ronald McDonald House, and we also every year do a life walk team to raise money for people living with HIV and AIDS. And
See,
You're
that's
out.
what we need to do, is
He
start
said
getting on-
exercise. You were out.
yeah, and we need to get at some kind of charity that we do, Matt.
That we don't have
Like-
to walk for? Or
Yeah, no. I just mean in general, so we won't look like such complete total bastards
No,
to people.
I like that
You know,
view of us.
I'm
well, you
thinking
can
like
join Team CGG Cares next year.
Maybe we will, or we could start an orphanage for all those jump turtles that are everywhere. So those poor jump turtles.
Oh, terrible recall joke.
Yeah.
Terrible recall joke.
Terrible total
Yeah,
recall
that's
joke.
That's all we got, right, babe?
Yes, I think so.
Done.
Just a general reminder. While we are a retail store, our mission isn't to sell you games. When you come in, we want you to. There's lots of tables. We have games that you can just sit down and try. I would much rather somebody sit down, try a game out, maybe learn something, meet some new people, and know whether or not they actually like a game, and that's, I think, one of the cool things about what we've done is
we want to be a safe place for people to come in, regardless of where they are in their gaming journey. If they're playing a game for the first time, if they're veterans and they want to learn more about games.
Well, I'm going to make a recommendation for the Fun Time Good Show. And if you go in and you've never played it before, grab a ticket to Ride Game.
Yes,
it's a great introduction. Sure. You can do it in 30 minutes to an hour. It's a lot of fun. And if you play the game like I do, you just make the trains, if I'm doing this right, race around the board. Pretty much like Monopoly, and you just make the trains race until you see which color.
Board games.
Would you be interested in demoing some of these games on Thursday? We'd love to have you come out and teach people how to truly play Monopoly and Ticket to Ride.
Even Mousetrap, I just race the mice around the board.
And then afterwards, we'll actually show you how to play the game.
Right. But no, like I said, that's a great one to start with. Get in there. Daniel, get some...
Yeah, I have a couple plugs. I guess I'll... say okay. So the first one is
a lot of preamble to that one.
The first one is we're doing a couple 35mm shows at the Texas Theater next month that are really, really, really fun. We're showing Blade Runner, Final Cut, which on 35mm, and Blade Runner has been under lock and key. No theaters can show this movie since 2007 when the Final Cut was released. So we are one of the first places to have booked the Final Cut in the country. So got to come check that out. And it also was the #1 pick on our Texas Theater fan picks for
makes sense.
And this
best sci-fi film.
And then this film, notoriously, the original horrible ending the studio threw on there. Then you had the director's cut. Now you have the final cut, which is supposed to be a little bit different than the director's cut, but one of my favorite Ridley Scott films. So
yeah, I mean
it's a classic.
The final cut, what's neat. I think is the definitive version. I've seen all the versions, and what I like about the final cut is it's the most perfect the movie ever got. It's not like a bunch of CG, garbage that gets thrown in there. There's no, animated aliens. They just kind of left the movie the way it was. They just made it look perfect.
Nice.
And it's incredible. It's incredible to see a movie like that, especially on 35mm. And I wonder if that release has something to do with like the drumming up support of maybe having a sequel. So I don't know.
Wait, what's this? There's talk of a sequel.
Oh yes,
Blade Runner?
there is always every time
15 years.
Every time a movie that Harrison Ford is in and he's on the press junket, I think his agent or his publicist is like, just say Blade Runner 2. Who cares what happens?
What's the downside?
This movie needs it. I think that's what they're starting to like put the feelers out.
Blades Run.
And then we have one other event that's coming up next month that we're doing with Deep Ellum Brewery, and I figure that has a connection since we're here in Deep Ellum.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's the Deep Ellum Brewery sign over there.
They're big fans of the show. They're big fans of the station.
Deep Ellum Brewery is teaming up with us to do a screening of The Shining. It's also going to be on 35mm.
Seems like Shiner would have been a better beer match for that.
It's our Christmas movie.
Oh, great! I love that.
We're throwing our Texas Theater Christmas party that night.
That's awesome.
Deep Ellum Brewery is going to, with your price of your ticket, which will be a little bit more expensive, it'll come with a beer, a commemorative glass, and there's going to be a crap ton of people there that all freaking love The Shining.
If you want another sponsor, I tell you what, we'll have down there for the price of your ticket, no increase. Matt will give each person a gentle, soft hug as they come in to watch The Shining.
I didn't understand what that was, but no. But you can give people hugs. It's totally fine.
All right, so we'll still go down there and give people hugs.
But if you guys want to come down there, I'll make sure that you guys get in.
Oh, I'll do it. I love that.
I'd love to have you guys up for that. And then one other thing, I want to invite you guys out to be a part of next year. We're starting a Texas Theater podcast. And I think it'd be awesome to have a little cross pollination.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm not sure what the schedule is, but we have a 2-part season, and we'll be starting recording those episodes in January. So I'll be in touch.
Interviews, movie reviews. What's the?
Well, we
Board game reviews?
we have a topic every week, or it's a bi-weekly podcast, and there'll be a topic every week. The first few are all like best of lists and stuff like that, and getting ready for the Oscars and stuff. But then as we get into the year, there's going to be a little bit more, I think, more interesting conversations just about stuff that
silence your phone, professionals.
But what I'll do is I'll just send you guys a list of the openings, and we'll talk about it later.
That sounds great. Let me just, have you ever heard of the film Corn Dog Man?
Corn Man?
No, Corn Dog Man.
If you're talking about Corn Man.
No, this is Corn Dog Man, a man who goes around selling corn dogs who harasses a used car boat salesman. All right, we're going to talk about this, maybe getting this up on the screen too. This is just a good film that somehow, if they made it for like, $28,000 and it won a few little awards, then it just disappeared. But it's a hilarious, great little film.
Are you still doing?
I'm intrigued.
Are you still doing casting for your next feature?
I am, but we're reviewing a lot of tapes right now, and we're kind of in this kind of pre-production stage. That's
So in other words, it's too late to audition.
It's
Matt.
not too late to audition if somebody's
It's really
interested.
going to be a flamingo dancer.
But it takes a long time to get through this process. Casting always takes a little bit longer, and this is a big deal, and we want to make sure the casting's right. So it'll take a while. I'm not rushing it.
Summer, maybe?
Actually, we just found some dates in the spring that work really well, and
in the couch, we were looking around, and I was like, "Oh, look, some change in some dates in the summer." So I'm wondering where I put those.
And they look good.
Shoot here? You shoot in Dallas?
It's going to shoot in Dallas.
Oh, supporting Dallas.
I like
Nice.
There's a lot,
That could have been bigger if the two guys over there did nothing. Have you
ever seen a Dallas in a movie and it looked like the Dallas that you actually know and live in?
Upstream Color.
Yeah, Upstream Color and
that's actually
RoboCop. Although they say it's
Detroit.
Detroit.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
What is it?
X-Files.
X-Files.
But did it feel like the Dallas you lived in? That's the point. Anyways, we're trying to show
RoboCop. That all the death and destruction. The fact that we have all those Detroit and Delta City signs everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a big giveaway.
But I just
it'll be important to show.
I just thought it would be interesting to do Dallas and see what
that would be fantastic.
But yeah.
I love the city. We rated #1 best nighttime skyline city in the world. I thought that was absolutely amazing.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful city and downtown. So architecture is one. It's like a minor hobby of mine, and some of their buildings just beat out some of the other buildings I've seen around the world, and I'm just really proud to have them here. Yeah. And on that note of
Dallas Pride.
Yeah. We're going to go out next week. Emmeline's going to be back in studio. We're going to be doing a pilot pass on the show Small Wonder.
We're not doing a show next week because it's
You
Thanksgiving.
said we were just doing the show. You said Small Wonder. All right, the next show we do. Okay, Emmeline will be back in studio as the new musical, semi-permanent musical band leader with no band.
Just like Reggie Watts.
That's right. There you go. One man's band leader. We're going to be doing the pilot pass on Small Wonder. I want to thank our guests for coming in studio, and more importantly, I want to say you're welcome. What a treat for you to get to come in here and hang out with Matt and I.
It was
seriously. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
I love
Thanks,
it when
guys.
someone says you're welcome before you can say
that's the catchphrase of the show. Fun time, good show. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
We're gonna go out today on the Billy Nair show. The Billy Nair show, doing a song called "Angels." One of my personal favorite. Like I said, they're one of my favorite bands. You said, Dan, you said you'd seen Stingray Sam.
It's wonderful.
Have you seen American Astronaut?
Of course.
You know that only aired on screens in New York and L.A. on 2 screens each. Can we see about getting that on the big screen?
You remember those booking fees we were talking about?
Right, there you go.
I'll chip in $2.
He's like, I'll buy my ticket.
I'll put in a little bit of that. That's just one of those films that was only available on small screen. You just go, God, if I could ever see this, on a large screen, I'd be so happy.
I did see Stingray Sam on a big screen.
Really?
He was there. Maryland Film Festival.
Oh man, see I love him. He's such a great filmmaker. All right, well we're gonna go out. Billy Nair Show, Angels again. Everybody, Matt, thanks for rounding everybody up today and handling everything. You're watching Fun Time Good Show on Deep Ellum On Air, and in very few moments you won't be watching Fun Time Good Show on Deep Ellum On Air. Goodbye.
That I told her, weighing on my conscience just as heavy as a boulder. Every day I'm talking to her, everyone can see right through her. If she were a lady, I would probably do her. All night and all day, angels are watching over me, my Lord. All night and all day, angels are watching over me. There's an angel on my shoulder, there's a secret that I told her, weighing on my conscience just as heavy as a boulder. All night and all day, angels are watching over me, my Lord. All night and all day, angels are watching over me. All night and all day, angels are watching over me, my Lord. All night and all day, angels are watching over me.